Developing right now on Morning News Now, Project Freedom paused. The U.S. military operation in the Strait of Hormuz now on hold over what President Trump calls progress toward a peace deal with Iran. This just days after Iran targeted American ships passing through the strait and renewed attacks against a key U.S. ally. The White House insists that shaky ceasefire still holds.
I call it a skirmish because Iran has no chance. They know what to do, and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually.
Now the conflict overseas driving up gas prices here at home ahead of the busy summer travel season. We will bring you the latest. Also this morning, the votes are in 3 consequential state elections. In Ohio, voters setting the stage for the governor's race and a Senate race that could shift the balance of power in Washington. In battleground Michigan, Democrats keeping control of the state Senate in a critical special election there. And in Indiana, double-digit defeats of 5 incumbents. A big win for President Trump after that bitter redistricting battle. We're going to get an update. Plus, federal frustration over the search for Nancy Guthrie 3 months after she went missing. FBI Director Kash Patel criticizing the local sheriff's department, saying his agency was left out of the investigation for days. How the sheriff is responding and an update on the search. And Broadway's finest, this year's Tony nominations are out with 2 new musicals leading the list, plus a strong showing from a Celine Dion-inspired smash that started in the basement of a grocery store. We're going to pull back the curtain on the standouts, the surprises, and yes, some snubs, too. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. We begin this hour in the Middle East, where the pendulum is swinging again from recent attacks to renewed hope. This morning, optimism is growing over a peace deal between the United States and Iran. That's after President Trump paused the U.S. operation to escort stranded tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, which he dubbed Project Freedom. He says the pause is meant to give both sides more time to try and reach a peace agreement. The president later posted on social media that great progress has been made on a final agreement. The effort to move those stalled commercial air traffic through the vital waterway led to a flare-up in attacks in recent days, both in the Strait and in the United Arab Emirates. But the Trump administration is downplaying the violence, saying the ceasefire still holds. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us now with the latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. President Trump said this pause in escorting ships through the strait would be for a short period of time while the 2 sides work through mediators toward a breakthrough in stalled negotiations.
A pause in Project Freedom, citing progress toward a comprehensive peace deal with Iran. President Trump putting the U.S. military operation to guide commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz on hold to, quote, see whether or not the agreement can be finalized. The president noting the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports stays after saying he hopes economic pressure will force Iran to make a deal.
We should do the smart thing, and because we don't want to go in and kill people. We really don't. I don't want to.
Earlier this week, Project Freedom kicked up exchanges of fire as Iran targeted American ships passing through the strait and the U.S. forces protecting them. Top military officials say they intercepted Iran's drones and blew up their small boats, but that it was all below the threshold for restarting major combat operations.
Right now, the ceasefire certainly holds, but we're going to be watching very, very closely.
Iran's top diplomat said peace talks were progressing through Pakistani mediators. The central sticking point has been the U.S. demand that Iran abandon any nuclear ambition and give up its enriched uranium.
We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio underscoring that while responding to frustrations over soaring gas prices since the war began.
If Iran had a nuclear weapon, and they decided to close the straits and make our gas prices like $9 a gallon or $8 a gallon, we wouldn't be able to do anything about it because they have a nuclear weapon.
That as Iran renewed attacks against its neighbor and U.S. ally, the United Arab Emirates, risking more damage to oil infrastructure.
And Secretary Rubio heads to Italy today. He's set to meet with Pope Leo amid President Trump's sharp criticism of the first American pontiff who has vocally opposed the war. The president is now accusing the Pope of being okay with Iran having a nuclear weapon. He responded that the Catholic Church has always opposed nuclear weapons and that any criticism of him for proclaiming the gospel should be based in truth.
So, Alice, the Pope issue aside, what more do we know about just the status of negotiations toward a peace deal with Iran?
Yes, so President Trump said in his post that he was pausing Project Freedom at the request of Pakistani leaders who've been mediating and have been pointing to progress. Iran said earlier this week it was reviewing a U.S. counterproposal. And now, new this morning, the price of oil has been plunging, stocks surging in early trading off hopes from a new Axios report that the U.S. believes it may be nearing a deal to end the war with Iran and eventually reopen the critical Strait of Hormuz. Axios cited 2 U.S. officials and 2 additional sources. NBC News has not independently verified that, but clearly markets are looking for some good news here, Joe.
All right, Alice Barr in Washington. Alice, thank you. Election results are in for several high-stakes primary races, helping us better understand where each party stands as the midterms approach. In Ohio, the stage is now set for a governor's race that includes former Republican presidential nominee Vivek Ramaswamy. He handily won the party's nomination to take on Democratic contender Dr. Amy Acton. She's the state's former health director. Both are now running to succeed Ohio's outgoing Republican Governor Mike DeWine. As for Congress, NBC News projects that former State Representative Derek Merrin is the winner of the Republican primary for Ohio's 9th congressional district. He'll take on Democratic Representative Marcy Kaptur in what's expected to be a battleground race there this fall. And former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown won the party's nomination. He'll now challenge Republican Senator John Husted as Democrats try to take back control of the U.S. Senate. In Michigan, NBC News projects that Democrats will hold on to control of the state Senate after Chedrick Green defeated Republican Jason Tunney in a special election. That's a district former Vice President Kamala Harris narrowly carried back in 2024. And in Indiana, voters largely sided with President Trump in his push to oust 7 state senators who disagreed with his efforts to redraw the state's congressional map. NBC News chief data analyst Steve Kornacki breaks down all the results.
Well, a handful of state Senate Republicans in Indiana voted against the president's bid to change the congressional map mid-decade to favor Republicans. He said he would make them pay a price in the Republican primary. And wow, did he ever. Here you go. You can see these are the state Senate districts in Indiana that Trump targeted in Tuesday's primary. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 incumbent senators who voted against that redistricting plan and who Trump specifically targeted were defeated. There's a 6th race that's outstanding. There is 1 incumbent who survived, but most of these incumbents lost, and they lost by overwhelming margins. Check this one out. I think it's indicative. Most of the vote is counted. Travis Holdman here is losing by more than 20 points. Travis Holdman is not just any incumbent. He's also a member of the state Senate Republican leadership, the 3rd-ranking Republican in the state Senate, a long-serving lawmaker. He has been trounced in this Republican primary, and you saw landslide margins like this throughout the state in these other districts. Again, these are all incumbents going down to defeat in these Republican primaries. You can see, look at this, a margin of almost 50 points here. So folks looked at these races in Indiana as sort of a test of the president's clout with Republican primary voters within the party. There had been talk, certainly, with his approval ratings dropping, with some Republicans getting nervous about the midterms this year. You know, was there going to be more room to maneuver if you were a Republican and you were airing some objections with Trump? Were the voters ready to give you more room to maneuver? It's hard to look at these results from Indiana last night and say the answer to that is yes. These are voters who clearly are saying that in this battle over redistricting, they're on the president's side, not the side of these lawmakers who defied him.
All right, Steve Kornacki, thank you so much. For more reaction from the White House, let's bring in NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz. Megan, good morning. So when President Trump first called for this redistricting in Indiana, Republicans in the state Senate voted that effort down, basically, seeming to show some of the limits of Mr. Trump's influence there. He vowed to get this revenge by backing these primary challengers, and he got it. So how is the White House responding to these primary results?
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, so President Trump has not issued a statement himself, but he did repost a statement from Senator Jim Banks, a Republican of Indiana, who said in that statement that everyone in Indiana politics should have learned an important lesson today. President Trump is the single most popular Republican among Hoosier voters. Now, as you mentioned, this is a really important races to watch because this was a rare example of Republicans having had a rebuke of President Trump in this redistricting battle. And so this latest the latest results show a victory for President Trump in ousting some of those incumbents who had rejected that redistricting push. Now, separately, Vice President J.D. Vance was in Iowa yesterday. He was there to support an incumbent Republican candidate who's expected to face a tough re-election campaign this fall. During his remarks in Iowa yesterday, he also touched on things like people feeling higher prices, and he called the war in Iran a blip. I want you to take a listen to what else he had to say.
A lot of our farmers are struggling with high fertilizer prices. I'm aware of that. As the President of the United States has said, we got a little blip in the Middle East. We've got to take care of some business on the foreign policy side. But you know what we're doing simultaneously? We're working with the congressman, and we're finding ways every single day to make sure that you guys and the farmers of this great state get access to the products that they need. We're working on it.
Those comments perhaps previewing how Republicans are going to address some of those top issues that voters are thinking about as we're getting closer to midterm elections this fall in really interesting races to watch like those in Iowa, Joe.
And Megan, I want to get to another headline out of Washington. Turns out taxpayers may ultimately be on the hook for $1 billion in these security improvements related to the White House's East Wing construction project. That includes President Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom. What do we know about this new spending proposal?
Yeah, so this was a proposal that was included as part of a bill for funding the Immigration and Border Patrol. And in that bill, it included $1 billion that was set aside, according to the bill, for security adjustments and upgrades relating to the East Wing modernization project, which, as you mentioned, includes the White House ballroom. Now, that bill said that it would include funding related to security for both above ground and below ground security features. Now, this would be part of a reconciliation package, meaning that it would not ultimately need Democratic votes in order to get over the finish line. But Democrats are saying that they're going to try to force a vote ultimately to try to strip out this ballroom provision out of the bill. But meanwhile, the White House is framing this as a necessary measure that Congress is recognizing. We heard from a White House spokesperson who framed this as a proposal that would help the Secret Service ultimately harden the White House complex, Joe.
And Megan, real quick before I let you go, the suspect who's accused of trying to assassinate President Trump during the White House Correspondents' Dinner was indicted yesterday on a new charge. What do we know?
Yeah, so Cole Tomas Allen, he was indicted by a grand jury in D.C. yesterday on 3 of those counts that we had already seen be unveiled. But there was also a 4th count, a charge of assaulting a federal officer with a deadly weapon. Now, the latest charge comes after alleged evidence that the suspect had shot a Secret Service agent as he ran through that security checkpoint ahead of being tackled ultimately by Secret Service and being stopped. Now, in terms of what comes next, he is expected to appear before a judge the morning of May 11th for an arraignment on this latest indictment, Joe.
All right, Megan in Washington, thank you so much. The FBI director is making headlines for comments about the Nancy Guthrie case. It has been more than 3 months since Nancy, the mother of our colleague Savannah Guthrie, disappeared from her Arizona home in the middle of the night, and officials still do not have any solid leads. Now, FBI Chief Kash Patel is criticizing the Pima County Sheriff's Department for how it's handling the investigation. He claims local investigators should have involved the FBI sooner. NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has the latest.
In a newly released podcast, FBI Director Kash Patel raising new criticism about law enforcement cooperation in the unsolved disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, mother of our colleague Savannah.
The first 48 hours of anyone's disappearance are the most critical.
Patel tells Sean Hannity that the Pima County, Arizona Sheriff's Department waited too long to engage the FBI.
We're here to help. What do you need? What can we do? And for 4 days, we were kept out of the investigation.
Nancy Guthrie was reported missing on Sunday, February 1st. However, the Pima County Sheriff said they called the FBI one day later on Monday.
That morning, it wasn't days later that we contacted that morning, we contacted the FBI.
And that Tuesday, the sheriff and a Tucson-based FBI official held a joint press conference. The director praises the Bureau for the biggest lead in the case.
When we were finally let in, Sean, look what we did. We went in and got the Ring doorbell, and we said, hey, is anyone talking to Google?
The FBI contacted Google, and they recovered those chilling images from the door camera system.
That's why you have that image, because the FBI worked with Google to put that image out.
That suspect remains unidentified 3 months later. The director also cited differences over handling DNA evidence. Pima County chose a Florida lab it regularly used.
We would have analyzed it within days and maybe gotten better information or more information. Our lab's just better than any other private lab out there, and we didn't get a chance to do that. So I understand everybody's frustration.
Nancy Guthrie remains missing. No arrests have been made. While the director had no specific updates on the case, the FBI told me its investigators are still actively working on this case. We also checked with the Pima County Sheriff's Office about Patel's critique, and the office said that they don't have any additional information to share. Now, throughout the conversation with Sean Hannity, Director Patel did acknowledge that Pima County has jurisdiction, and so the decisions that were made were theirs to make because the case remains in their hands.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Evacuations are underway on the cruise ship dealing with that deadly hantavirus outbreak. This morning, 3 passengers were evacuated from that ship that's anchored in the Atlantic. Follows the deaths of 3 other passengers. Uncertainty is now growing over where the passengers will be allowed to disembark after officials from Spain's Canary Islands rejected a plan for the ship to dock there. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now with the very latest. Raf, good morning. So what do we know right now about the 6 passengers who were evacuated from the ship? And just walk us through the challenges for health officials here who must take care of those passengers, but also help everyone else who's stuck on board.
Joe, good morning. So, yeah, in the last couple of hours, those 3 passengers taken off of that cruise ship, they were moved by small boats to Cape Verde, the islands that they are moored off of. And from there, we believe they are going to be taken in specialist medical planes to the Netherlands, where their treatment will continue. Now, 3 people taken off. 2 of them are suffering from acute symptoms of what is suspected, at this point not yet confirmed, hantavirus. The 3rd is an individual who was traveling with a German citizen who has already died. So it's not clear if that person is particularly sick, but they, clearly need to move on based on the trauma experience they have been through. Those 3 have come off the ship. Coming onto the ship, Joe, 2 Dutch doctors who are going to supervise medical care on board until that cruise ship is able to dock somewhere and those passengers are able to disembark.
So, Joe. Raf, we know the World Health Organization is saying that there are 2 lab-confirmed cases and then 5 suspected cases of hantavirus on the ship. It was supposed to head, as I mentioned, to the Canary Islands. That no longer seems to be happening. This is sort of opening up these issues here. Everyone's stuck on the boat, but no one really wants to take them in. So where could it possibly go now?
So there is a lot of confusion right now, Joe, about where this ship is going to head. Quick reminder, the Canary Islands are Spanish islands, but they're basically off the coast of Morocco. They are a long way from mainland Spain. And what we heard earlier from the Spanish national government is that they are prepared to take these passengers onto land in the Canary Islands. What we've been hearing overnight from the local authorities in the Canary Islands is they are saying, we don't want them here. We are very worried about an outbreak on our small remote islands. So you do seem to have this standoff, but it appears that it will be the national government that does have the final say. And we are hearing from the company that runs the cruise ship, Joe, they are saying Spain has a moral and legal obligation to assist these people, among whom are several Spanish citizens. Joe.
Raf, during the COVID pandemic, we all became very familiar with the term contact tracing, and we understand that's now underway to just identify those who left the ship during its voyage and then who might have been in contact with those people. We should remind people, this ship, it's not like a 4-day cruise. It set sail back on April 1st in Argentina. So what are we learning about when the outbreak might have actually started?
So, Joe, the World Health Organization is saying their working assumption right now is that this is called the Andes variant of the hantavirus. That is a variant that can be transmitted from human to human as opposed to from rodent to human, and it tends to be clustered in Argentina and in Chile. So the working assumption of the WHO is this originated somewhere in South America. One of the passengers contracted the virus on land, brought it onto the ship, and as you say, there is now urgent contact tracing going on, especially focused on passengers who were on a plane where a sick passenger who got off the cruise ship, got onto land and got on a flight to South Africa. They are trying to find the people who were on that plane because that sick passenger went on to die in a hospital in South Africa. Jeff.
All right. Raf Sanchez with an update there. Thank you so much. We are tracking some severe storms in the south and a winter storm in the Rockies. Let's get a closer look with your Morning News Now weather and meteorologist Andrea Romero. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. We were talking about snow in May, and that's because we have this winter storm that's been bringing heavy snowfall, especially to the mountains. Here in Colorado, the south central Rockies are being impacted by the snowfall. We're expecting the possibility of over 2 feet of snow that can accumulate in this area. We have winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings in effect through tonight for that area. And then we can see that precipitation extending into the northeast, but it's rain that's falling in this location as well as in the southern plains and into the Mississippi Valley, where we are expecting this frontal system to continue to bring that rain to that area all the way up into New England. The severe threat is focused here in parts of East Texas into Georgia for today. We're talking about all types of hazards, damaging hail. Tornadoes are likely and possibly strong tornadoes, and that's specifically focused in that area there that we see in parts of Mississippi, Alabama, where we have that enhanced risk of severe weather with wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour possible for that location. We're also looking at heavy rainfall, 1 to 2 inches per hour, that could result in some flash flooding in those locations. So it's going to be a busy weather day in those areas. You want to make sure you have a way to receive those weather alerts on your phone, because we are expecting those hourly rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches. As far as the snowfall amounts, we can still see anywhere more than half a foot of snow to a foot of snow in some areas there in Colorado with that snowfall. And of course, we're seeing snow because it's simply so cold in that location. We have frost and freeze alerts. Over 18 million people are being impacted this morning. Temperatures in Denver, 30 degrees, 20 degrees in Casper, and that cold air will continue to move on east as this front sweeps through. We're experiencing it. Yesterday we were in the 80s. This morning it's like in the 60s, but it's not going to go much higher than that.
No snow is what you're saying in the forecast for the East Coast.
Yeah, no snow.
If we're still talking about snow on Memorial Day, we'll have to do something about that. All right. Andrea, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, the secret to weight loss may not be GLP-1s. Why some researchers say you may want to skip the shot for a procedure that is significantly more effective. Up first after the break, hikers beware, the warning from officials after a bear attack at a popular national park. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As national parks and hiking trails gear up for the busy summer season, wildlife experts are warning visitors to be bear aware and give wildlife space. That warning comes after 2 hikers were mauled by a bear near Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park on Monday. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson spoke with a park employee about the risks that hikers can face in the wilderness and how visitors can stay safe. We do want to warn you, some of the images in this report are graphic.
A pair of gravely wounded hikers hoisted high above Yellowstone National Park after being mauled in a bear attack.
Definitely bear. Its claws.
Park officials say the attack happened on Mystic Falls Trail, a popular tourist area, by 1 or more bears. The park's emergency services swooping in. Video from seasonal park employee Marie Jaskula shows them strapping the wounded onto stretchers.
When you saw that commotion, what did you think? Yeah, it's very much a reality check. And we had read a quote once that said, once you enter the forest, you become a part of the food chain. And it's very realistic.
One family member writing on Facebook that one of the hikers was able to call 911 after the bear went after his brother.
She said they got multiple people heading up this way.
Officials say it's the first bear injury in the park this year. The attack comes just as travel and hiking season heats up. Late last month, a video from Southern California shows a bear charging a hiker head-on. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Family says the men attacked in Yellowstone are still in the hospital, but recovering.
You know, there are safety precautions for hiking in 3 or more, carrying your bear spray, just being very aware of your surroundings.
Necessary tips for braving the Wild West. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
All right, let's bring in Zoo Miami's communications director, Ron McGill, for more tips. Ron, always good to have you with us. So walk us through this here. If you see a black bear or a brown bear, does your response change? I mean, what should you do first?
It does. Generally speaking, black bears tend to be less aggressive. They say if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down, play dead. The problem is, black bears can be brown in color. They can be almost blonde in color. They have different color phases. Generally speaking, the brown bears, the grizzly bears tend to be larger. But the bottom line is this, Joe. If you walk through any bear area, make yourself known, make noise, try to walk in groups. The worst thing you can do is if you see a bear, don't turn and run. Bears don't like to be surprised.
So in Steve's story there, we saw what I think we could assess as not so wise decisions by some folks. But what is the biggest mistake people make when they are face to face with bears, and how do you keep it from escalating?
I think the biggest mistake they make is they panic. They panic and turn and run. Listen, if you're playing with your dog and you turn and run away from your dog, what's your dog going to do? It's going to run after you. This is a natural instinct for any kind of omnivore, carnivore like that. So the key thing to do is make yourself calm. If it's a black bear, put your hands up, make yourself look as large as possible. Hey, bear, speak fast, and back up slowly. Generally speaking, this is an anomaly. There's so many bears. We're seeing a lot of bears coming up with people, but they're not attacking people. The problem is people sometimes with their pets, if your dog goes after the bear, that's going to instill a defensive response from the bear. But the bottom line is these bears want to avoid you. Carry bear spray, walk in groups in bears in bear territory, make noise. They'll hear you before they see you, and they'll go away.
There's a quote we just heard in there a moment ago that really stood out to me, reminding you that if you head to the park, you become part of the food chain. So before you even head out, what are some of the things you can do to help just avoid any sort of encounter with wildlife in the first place?
Well, again, make sure you have your bear spray. If you're in that type of area, have your bear spray. Walk in groups, walk on trails. Do not wander off on your own. Be aware of your surroundings. This time now these bears are coming out in the springtime out of hibernation, so they're kind of looking for food. They're all over the place. So we see them coming into developed areas here in Florida all the time. We're seeing a lot of these confrontations.
Bottom line, just what's the most important safety rule to remember when you are out in the wild, especially with so many people heading to parks over the summer?
Stay on the trails, be aware, realize you're in the wild. It's not a walk through Disneyland. This is something, these animals are not animatronics. I see so many people now trying to get close pictures of animals. We have the clickbait. People are trying to do all these selfies with animals. It's just not very smart. And that's where you're going to have problems. Keep your distance. If you properly respect an animal, you should never be in a position to be afraid of it.
Yeah, you can just Google a picture of a bear, and then you don't have to worry about getting close yourself. There we go. Ron McGill, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, coming up on Morning News Now, a top insurance company under fire.
I would expect that going through such a terrible disaster, that money would pretty easily be my money. Mm-hmm. And instead, it's just felt like we have boxing gloves on all the time, trying to get what I feel is rightfully ours.
When we come back, we're going to take you to California, where survivors of last year's massive wildfires say they're being victimized again. And high risk, researchers sounding the alarm on the impacts of a popular psychedelic drug on your brain. Dr. Sayal is in with our weekly checkup right after the break. We're back with our series, The Cost of Denial, where we investigate the challenges people face with their insurance. California is now cracking down on State Farm after a wave of complaints over its handling of claims from the LA wildfires. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz takes a closer look.
16 months since Los Angeles was ravaged by 2 devastating wildfires, State Farm, California's largest insurer, facing potential suspension in the state after a months-long investigation found that the company repeatedly violated the law in its handling of wildfire claims. The state's insurance department says the company delayed, underpaid, and buried policyholders in red tape. In several cases, they say the company failed to provide explanations for why they were denying claims, and in one case waited 88 days to investigate a claim, and only after being prompted by the homeowner. The state also alleges State Farm engaged in what they describe as adjuster roulette, like with fire victim Stephanie Newport, who we first met last June when she had gone through 7 adjusters in 5 months.
So you're saying that the day after the story aired, things changed?
Everything changed the day after it aired. I got a phone call, got a new adjuster, and have had so much progress since then.
But she says nearly everyone else she knows in a similar position, like Elisa Nixon, whose home is still covered in soot and ash, are still waiting.
I would expect that going through such a terrible disaster that money would pretty easily be my money. And instead, it's just felt like we have boxing gloves on all the time, trying to get what I feel is rightfully ours.
State Farm says we reject any suggestion State Farm engaged in a general practice of mishandling or intentionally underpaying wildfire claims, adding that the insurer already paid out $5.7 billion. The insurance giant also called California's homeowners insurance market the most dysfunctional in the country.
And this will now go before a judge. If the violations are proven, State Farm could be fined roughly $2 million and have its license suspended here in the state for up to a year. Back to you.
All right, Liz, thank you. Time now for your weekly medical checkup. This week, we're looking at how magic mushrooms may change the brain to help treat things like depression and PTSD. Plus, if you're trying to lose weight, a new study looks at whether GLP-1s or bariatric surgery is better for you. For more, let's bring in NBC News medical reporter, Dr. Akshay Sayal. Good to have you with us. All right, so let's start here. We've got a study in the journal Nature. It found a single dose of psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, can change your brain. What kind of change are we talking about here?
So potentially good change, Joe. And I love when we get to talk about mushrooms at 7 in the morning.
Right,
let's go. So, there's been a lot of interest recently, right, in psychedelics for treating things like anxiety, depression, PTSD. And this study, Joe, found that a single dose, 25 milligrams, up to a month later, they actually put patients in MRI machines. They found that it may actually change some of the brain structure. And why is this important, right? When we talk about how psychedelics may work, we look at this word neuroplasticity. It may make the brain more pliable or more mendable, but to your point, we want it pliable or mendable in the right direction, which is why this is a do not try this at home sort of situation. This is a psychedelics combined with a licensed behavioral professional can actually get you in the right way to potentially treat some of those conditions.
Got
it. So doctor's orders, right? Doctor's orders, as we love to do on this segment.
Don't rush out and take magic mushrooms.
Do not try this at home.
Yes.
That is number one in bold, all caps. And if you're interested in this, find a clinical trial. I visited Johns Hopkins a few years ago, spoke to a lady who, after nothing was working for her to quit smoking, she took literally 1 dose of magic mushrooms and hadn't smoked a cigarette in years.
Wow, it is incredible, some of the results we're seeing early on from some of these studies. Right, let's talk about 2 studies that are taking a look at sort of 2 very different approaches to weight loss. You got bariatric surgery, and then you have the newer thing, the GLP-1s. Do we know if one is more effective than the other?
So it's a great question, Joe. And GLP-1s, for those out there who don't know, are drugs like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, those injectable once-a-week medications, now also oral medications. When we compare bariatric surgery or weight loss surgery, which is historically what has been produced the best results, compare that to these medications. When you look at the trials, Joe, the clinical trials, they're not that different. But this new study, it's a sort of real-world study looking at hundreds of thousands of patients, really finding bariatric surgery about 20% more effective than the drugs. And, I prescribe these drugs all the time, especially when I was back at UCLA. People don't like to stay on them. People come off of them, they have side effects, and you're sort of seeing that reflected in the data, and that's why some of the difference you're seeing, Joe. So doctor's orders, know your options here. It's not just medications. There is a surgical component to this as well, and discuss those with your physician.
Some useful information there. Okay, we've got another study. This one's from the journal Radiology. Interesting. It found if you look fit, you could still be at risk for heart disease. I guess don't judge a book by its cover. What do we know here?
Right, the so-called skinny fat, I think, as we always like to say. So this is a really interesting study, a very sort of next-generation medicine, something that we do in my practice today. It's looking at body composition with MRI. And the reason this is important is you can actually get a sort of sense of people's muscle and fat breakdown in an MRI machine, and that has, implications down the line for things like insulin resistance and diabetes and dementia and all sorts of things. And so this study, Joe, out of Germany, 5 sites, about, 10,000 patients or so, really finding that fat inside muscles is linked to things like insulin resistance and sort of unhealthy aging. They used AI to actually sort of look at patients' body composition inside a machine, and you can see that risk of heart disease regardless of weight. So, when you go to a doctor and they ask you how much you weigh, how tall you are, they talk about your BMI, and that BMI number is a little bit outdated. It's not the best sort of way to look at these things. Have you had that measured yourself?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, they always give you that number, or a scale tries to estimate it for you based on limited information.
Exactly.
Right?
So this is a very future forward-looking study, sort of where things are headed. But for those out there who want to take action at home today, very, very important when you're exercising. You are not just a cardioholic. You are also incorporating strength training, no matter how old you are. My favorite thing that I see now is I go to the gym and I see, women and men in their 70s lifting weights. So very, very important to incorporate that into your routine, too.
Have a balanced workout routine. Very good. Dr. Sal, interesting stuff this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Anytime.
All right, coming up, a Grand Slam dispute. When we come back, why the world's top women's tennis player is calling on players to boycott the next big tournament. And one of the top airlines cutting drinks and snacks from some of its flights. Your Money Minute is next on Morning News Now. Back with a warning for consumers about online ticket resellers. You may have noticed that on some sites like StubHub, resellers can list concert tickets before official sales even begin. Those are called speculative tickets. Andrew Rowan from our NBC Connecticut station has more on how they work, plus some tips to help protect your wallet.
Let me show you this. Right now on StubHub, you can buy a floor seat for $922 for opening night of Olivia Rodrigo's concert in Hartford. The only problem is she doesn't start selling tickets to the general public until Thursday. So what are those tickets on StubHub? I asked the National Consumers League.
The tickets that you're seeing online on sites like StubHub and Vivid Seats are what are called speculative tickets.
Speculative tickets. Let me explain what that is. That is a listing for a ticket that the seller may not actually have in their hand. It's essentially what the National Consumer League says is a promise by the seller that they will get you that ticket before the concert begins. Now, I asked StubHub because StubHub says they don't allow speculative tickets on their platform. They say some of the sellers for the Olivia Rodrigo tickets may have legitimate access through pre-sale or seat licenses, but they say they cannot automatically validate every ticket. They say they would like to. And for that, they blame Ticketmaster, which is the official seller of this concert. They say that those tickets are opaque and they would welcome a more open ticketing system. That being said, they say for StubHub users that buyers are protected by a refund. But the National Consumers League says that can put consumers in an awkward spot. Take a listen.
The ticket buyer who thinks they have a ticket in hand finds out days or even hours before the show goes on sale that, oh, you're out of luck. And here's your refund, but we can't refund you for the hotel or the airfare or all the things you might have bought to get to see the show.
Now, there are bills in Washington and in Connecticut that would make it illegal to have speculative tickets. Neither of those have become law yet. So in the meantime, here are some tips. If you're getting Olivia Rodrigo tickets or any other concerts, you want to read the fine print. Make sure you know what you're getting. Look for seat numbers on these resale sites so that you know it's reflective of an actual ticket. And lastly, pay with a credit card so you know you have protections if something goes wrong. Back to you.
All right, some good advice, Andrew Rowan. Thank you so much. Staying on your wallet, a health insurance giant is making a change, hoping to improve patient care. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Good morning. That's right. United Healthcare is scaling back on some of its rules that can delay medical treatment. The company says it plans to reduce pre-approval checks for many different types of care, including some scans, procedures, and visits. Overall, the company says it will slash 30% of its so-called prior authorization requirements. And big changes on Delta flights. The airline says travelers on very brief trips will no longer receive free snacks or drinks unless they're seated in the airline's Delta First Premium cabin. The change takes effect on May 19th. The company saying that will mean 9% of its flights each day won't have food service. This comes as high fuel prices have put pressure on the airline industry across the board, and just days after discount airline Spirit shut down. Finally, As so many World Cup fans get ready for the games this summer in North America, a new report suggests that hotel demand might not be as robust as experts imagined. The American Hotel and Lodging Association says it found in its FIFA World Cup hotel outlook that 80% of hotels polled say bookings are not hitting expectations. The organization attributes the reduced demand to challenges limiting travel as well as higher prices. And Joe, that's not just higher prices of the actual tickets, but there's been a lot of controversy about the price to actually get to the venue in each city. I know here in New York, that's been about the New Jersey Transit ticket price, that round trip ticket price to get to MetLife Stadium, $150 compared to the $12.90 that it would take otherwise.
Plus, you've got just the cost of the tickets in general and just some of the challenges with people traveling internationally. There's a lot of things being exposed here.
So many things.
All right, Emily, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Let's stay in sports. The women's #1 tennis player, Aryna Sabalenka, is calling on players to boycott major tournaments if they don't receive a bigger share of the revenue pot. This call comes just days after the world's leading players, both the top men and women, issued a joint statement. They expressed deep disappointment over the prize money at the upcoming French Open. Sabalenka discussed the potential boycott during a news conference yesterday.
I think at some point we'll boycott it, yeah. I feel like that's going to be the only way to kind of like fight for our rights. I feel like nowadays we girls, we easily can get together and go for this because some of the things I feel like it's really unfair to the players.
NBC News sports reporter Rohan Nadkarni joins us now to talk more about this. Rohan, good morning. It's a dispute that's been brewing for some time now, so just help us understand what exactly players are calling for, not just at the French Open, but really at all of the Grand Slam tournaments.
Yeah, Joe, I would say the biggest thing is kind of capturing a bigger portion of the revenue share of these tournaments, right? I think you're going to hear the phrase seat at the table a lot. Right now, the players don't really have to say in negotiations in terms of how prize money is allocated, things like pensions, some healthcare issues. But the biggest one really is as revenues go up at Roland Garros, at some of these Grand Slam events, I think the players want their salaries to rise, at the same rate as that revenue is going up.
So how much support does Sabalenka seem to have among fellow players for a boycott? I mean, is this something that could actually happen ahead of this month's French Open or next month's Wimbledon?
Well, Joe, you mentioned that statement that other players signed. So clearly there is support, I think, in terms of bringing attention to this issue. I would draw a distinction between that statement and the boycott. Some players, Iga Swiatek, Bobby Shelton said, they're not sure about a boycott. I would say it's very unlikely for this upcoming iteration of the French Open. If it's something that's going to be, I think, difficult to organize for these players because of kind of how separate they've been throughout their careers. But it's definitely a possibility, but I wouldn't say it's likely to be imminent.
Have we heard anything from Grand Slam organizers about this, about the boycott, about the concerns over the prize money? Does it seem like they are willing to negotiate it all with the players?
Yeah, the French Tennis Federation, I believe a statement to the New York Times said, they're willing to kind of sit down and discuss with the players. At the end of the day, it's in the best interest of these tournaments to negotiate with the players, especially when you have the top talent in tennis between Sabalenka, Jannik Sinner. These are not insignificant players. These are very highly ranked players. So I do think there will be an incentive for the Grand Slams to negotiate with them. I think some people even talked about the idea of a union. So I definitely could see some really serious negotiations coming pretty soon.
All right, Rohan Nadkarni, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Coming up, Broadway's biggest night. When we return, we're going to shine a spotlight on this year's Tony nominees, including some surprises and, of course, some snubs. It's all coming up next on Morning News Now. Finally this hour, the 79th annual Tony nominations were announced yesterday. Two musicals, The Lost Boys and Schmigadoon, lead the pack with 12 nominations each. There were also some high-profile snubs, including Lea Michele, Keanu Reeves, and Adrian Brody. For more, let's bring in Felicia Fitzpatrick, a Broadway writer and content creator who joins us now on set. Good to have you with us. So much to dive into after another busy year on Broadway. Let's start with the most nominations. I mentioned it. Lost Boys and Schmigadoon. Those are both new musicals. What other shows just did overall especially well this year?
Well, it's funny because those are the two musicals, but the rest are revivals. So they locked down the new musicals for the most nominated, but we have Ragtime with 11, Death of a Salesman, Cats, and Rocky Horror with 9. So I'm very curious to see how the revival categories go this year. but it's always a busy time. You know how we get excited every year for it. And I think the interesting thing to note is that in terms of the eligible productions this year, it was actually a smaller pool. So last year was 42, my notes say, and this year was only 30. So there was a smaller pool in general to nominate.
Yeah, last year there was a lot of content, a lot of musicals, a lot of plays. So let's break it down, because when you look at musicals, there are actually two categories when it comes to best musical. You have the new ones, and then you have the revivals. We'll break it down, but it was a better year for the revivals, no doubt. There were some really strong revivals.
I think so. For a revival of a musical, it's Cats, the Jellicle Ball, which everyone has been loving. It's Cats as we know and love it, with the
but better.
minus the unitards, and it's set in the 1980s Harlem ballroom scene, and it really, the reimagination of it just makes it work at such a cool level, and it's very emotional, very poignant for me. And then we have Ragtime, which is timeless, so anytime that you revive it, it feels relevant. And then Rocky Horror Show, which is also kind of the same thing. It's timeless because even though it's different than Ragtime, anytime it's up, it has this cult following that's going to love it.
Exactly. And of course, we just had the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show last year. So now to see it back on Broadway with Luke Evans, it's absolutely incredible. And then as far as just the main new musicals, there were only 5 new musicals this year. 4 of them got nominated. Beaches did not. And we really don't know who will win. It is an open race.
I don't think there's a clear front runner at this moment. I know that there's a lot of love for Titanic. Schmigadoon was a great TV show that people loved on Apple TV. And then The Lost Boys as well has a big following right now. And then Two Strangers, I can never say the title right, Two Strangers Carrying a Cake Across New York, became such a fun show for people to love. It was an original musical, and I'm excited to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's called Two Strangers, and then in parentheses, Carry a Cake Around New York. Only 2 stars in it. They both got nominated. It's gotten a lot of good buzz. Right. You mentioned something near and dear to my heart, and that is Titanic.
Yes.
I actually did a story on it nearly 4 years ago. It started off Broadway in the basement of a Gristedes grocery store. I'm not kidding you. And it quickly became a cult classic. Now here we are nearly 4 years later, and it's nominated, got all these Tony nominations, not just Best Musical, but some of the acting categories. It's fantastic.
It is, and I feel like everyone loves a Cinderella story. Like the fact that it started in a basement and now it's nominated for Tonys is really exciting for people, and it's developed its own following as well. I know it did well with the London run, so people are excited to see if they can repeat that in New York.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who don't know, I'll give you the basics of the story. It is basically, if you've seen the movie Titanic, it is that storyline, but imagine if Celine Dion is actually on the ship, and then all of the music is Celine Dion's songs. And I think it's the favorite for featured actor, the person who plays the iceberg.
Which I love as a Broadway role. I love it.
That's all you need to know. The iceberg might win a Tony. Let's shift over to plays, because it really was a big year for plays, both in revivals and in new plays. What should we know about those?
Well, for the best plays, I think it's important to note that Liberation just won the Pulitzer Prize. So does that make it the best play winner? Could be. It did close, so I think people are wondering, is it still going to get love? Is it going to clinch a spot? It did. Little Bear Ridge Road also had already closed, clinched a spot. And then we have The Ballisters and Giant, which are still open. It's kind of exciting when you don't know who's going to win.
Exactly.
And I think all of them have really valid reasons of why they could win. But I think Liberation winning the Pulitzer Prize might give us a little sneak peek.
Liberation got incredible reviews. I actually saw it twice. And so I think it is the front runner, though. Giant is about Roald Dahl. It's a very serious topic, delves into anti-Semitism. And The Ballisters on the opposite end of the spectrum is just the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. So definitely a lot for people to chew on there. And then there's play revivals as well, too.
Yes, we have Becky Shaw, Death of a Salesman, starring Nathan Lane, and Laurie Metcalf again, because she was in 2 Broadway shows
because she's in everything always.
She's in everything.
She's on your television.
No, and she does a great job every time. Every Brilliant Thing with Daniel Radcliffe, who was on Broadway in Merrily We Roll Along just a few seasons ago.
And won a Tony for it,
Won a Tony. And then Fallen Angels and Oedipus. So I get kind of talking about the spectrum of things, like, you know, Every Brilliant Thing is a solo show. We have the serious family drama. I'm excited to see what the Tony voters are feeling this year, because I think that I love that we have such an offering for audiences, and to see what the Tony voters will go with will be exciting.
Let's get a couple more topics here. June Squibb, 96 years old, oldest Tony nominee ever year for Marjorie Prime. A great performance for her.
And I wrote this down. So she has been acting since, or she made her Broadway debut, rather, in 1959 Gypsy. So she has been doing this for a long time, and I love that she's finally getting this moment to shine at 96 years young.
That's great. And Danny Burstein, also in Marjorie Prime, the most nominated actor ever. That's an incredible accomplishment.
nine nominations. His first nomination was 20 years ago in 2006 for Drowsy Chaperone. So, I mean, he's just still doing his thing and still getting to showcase his talent, which I think is so great.
We just have under a minute left, but we have to talk about the snubs. The biggest, of course, is Lea Michele on chess, which definitely surprised me, and a lot of A-listers who just didn't get nominated.
There were a lot of screen stars on Broadway this year. We had the Bear cohort, Io, Iman, and John. Adrian Brody was in Fear of 13, and Jean Smart, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, Taraji P. Henson and Cedric the Entertainer. Lots of A-listers who just didn't get any love, no nods. So I think, you know, people can appreciate their performances on Broadway even if they didn't get those Tony nods.
And they're probably driving ticket sales to some of those plays as well. So in the end, they might be considered winners there. The Lea Michele thing, I think, pretty surprising because she did get some praise for her. At least it's a singing role.
Absolutely. And she's a Broadway baby. Like, she grew up on Broadway. So I think people were surprised by that.
All right, Felicia, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Tony's coming up in just a few weeks. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning, I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Right now on Morning News Now, standstill in the Strait. More than 1,000 ships remain stranded in the Strait of Hormuz as both the U.S. and Iran claim they are in control. President Trump maintaining the ceasefire is still in effect. His administration pausing the effort to protect ships as it pushes for a peace deal. All this as his own disapproval rating is now soaring along with gas prices. We have the latest on the conflict plus tips on how you can save at the pump. The war now reaching the polls as voters cast their ballots in primaries across the Midwest. Opinions of the conflict appearing mixed.
I think it's being handled real responsible now with the blockade.
There doesn't seem to be an end game, and we're still suffering, $6 a gallon to fill my car up. We need a game plan to either make this be over.
As the votes come in, the big question, can President Trump hold his Republican base? The results in this test of his power coming up. Plus, stuck at sea, more than 100 passengers still trapped on a cruise ship in the Atlantic amid a deadly outbreak of hantavirus. Overnight, Spain's Canary Islands rejecting a plan for the ship to dock there. When the passengers could finally be allowed onto dry land and how experts think the outbreak spread. And next chapter for a past president. We're getting a special look inside President Barack Obama's Presidential Center in Chicago ahead of its opening on Juneteenth. How the former president hopes this look into the past can shape our future. We begin this hour with a sharp U-turn from President Trump over his operation to escort stranded tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. The effort was implemented as part of an ongoing battle with Iran over who controls the vital waterway. The president put the operation, known as Project Freedom, on hold just one day after it began. He says it's to allow more time to reach a deal with Iran. The president later posted on social media that great progress has been made on a final agreement. The effort to move commercial traffic through the strait led to a flare-up in attacks in recent days, including in the United Arab Emirates. But the Trump administration says the ceasefire still holds. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest from Jerusalem. Richard, good morning.
The twists and turns in the war with Iran continue, with President Trump announcing that his new policy to force open the Strait of Hormuz has been paused.
After claiming overwhelming success in the war with Iran over which country controls the Strait of Hormuz, last night, President Trump dramatically changed course. He posted that his newly minted military operation, Project Freedom, to escort commercial ships through Hormuz, breaking an Iranian blockade, is suspended the day after it began. Trump said the pause will help diplomatic talks to end the war brokered by Pakistan. His administration had been celebrating the operation just hours before.
This is the first step towards reopening the strait.
Defense Secretary Hegseth earlier saying the operation was going well, with American warships successfully escorting vessels.
We know the Iranians are embarrassed by this fact. They said they control the strait. They do not.
So what changed? The short-lived Project Freedom led Iran to fire at ships and at the nearby United Arab Emirates, setting a refinery ablaze. Two U.S. officials also tell NBC News that two American commercial ships that were targeted by Iran both had U.S. military security teams on board. Trump says the time has come for Iran to give up and that the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports will continue.
They should wave the white flag of surrender.
While once again downplaying the war.
I call it a skirmish because Iran has no chance.
And there may be some diplomatic progress, with Axios reporting this morning, citing 4 sources, that the U.S. and Iran have a one-page document outlining a potential end to the war.
Thank you, Richard. The results are in for some key elections in Indiana and Ohio, where President Trump's grip on the Republican base was put to the test. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is in Griffith, Indiana, with more on how it all turned out. Shaq, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Well, there is no question that President Trump got his way here in deep red Indiana, where at least 5 of the 7 Republican state senators he targeted lost their races overnight. Races that normally wouldn't get this level of attention, but have been pulled into this national battle over congressional lines.
Overnight, President Trump getting revenge in Indiana. Republican primary voters there easily taking down a majority of the 7 incumbent GOP state senators targeted by the president. Mr. Trump slamming the lawmakers after they voted against his call to change the state's congressional map, a move that would have created 2 additional GOP-friendly seats in November's midterm elections. Trump-endorsed challenger Trevor DeVries winning his race.
What do these Senate races say about President Trump's influence in Indiana?
I think it says a lot. He's been the driving force in the Republican Party for the past 10 years at this point.
The redistricting push leaving voters here divided.
I did not support redistricting. I was in favor of keeping our districts as they were.
I felt that Indiana should have district to the point where it would make my voice not canceled out.
Good morning.
In Ohio, where Vice President Vance cast his primary vote Tuesday, the governor's race is now set, pitting Democrat Amy Acton against Trump ally Vivek Ramaswamy.
I want to say thank you to our U.S. President, President Trump, for his endorsement.
And a hotly contested battleground Senate race between GOP incumbent John Husted and former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown.
Ohioans don't have anyone fighting for you until November.
All of it raising the stakes for Republicans fighting to keep control of Congress in November. Recent polling shows President Trump's disapproval rating reaching a new high, with the war in Iran sending gas prices soaring. The president on Tuesday insisting those higher prices will be short-lived.
They'll drop lower than they were.
But even in deep red Indiana, his base voters are feeling the pinch.
Gas prices are ridiculous.
Every time you shop, it seems like it always costs more, or you get gas, it's more.
And Joe, one of the state senators targeted by the president did win his election overnight, and another race is still too close to call. We're talking about District 23. Look at those results there. You see a 50-50 battle with incumbent Spencer Deary hanging on by just 3 votes. It's yet another reminder that, especially in these local elections, every vote counts. Joe?
All right, Shaq, thank you so much. In Washington, there's new backlash over President Trump's proposed ballroom, as some lawmakers are now pushing for taxpayer funds to help support the project. NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins me with the details. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. While there is a huge construction crater next to the White House for that new ballroom, a surprise for taxpayers as Senate Republicans added an unexpected provision to a big spending package about immigration enforcement, and they hope to pass that quickly. Funding that Republicans say is not about chandeliers, but security. A new and potentially costly twist on the president's quest for a massive ballroom.
It's on time, on budget, and it's doing great.
Senate Republicans adding $1 billion into a new spending bill for, quote, security adjustments and upgrades relating to the East Wing modernization project, including above ground and below ground security. Funding for Secret Service that would be tied to the ballroom project, even though the president repeatedly promised no public money is needed.
No government funds. It's all put up private money, all private money.
All donor money and money that we put up, we've raised. The government is paying for nothing.
But after gunfire erupted at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, The president and Republican allies renewed calls for the ballroom, emphasizing the security plan.
Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex.
Now the White House says, quote, private donations are paying for the ballroom, but that the bill, quote, gives much needed security and hardening and training money to the Secret Service. The president's far-reaching renovation agenda has revamped historic parts of the White House, paving the Rose Garden, remodeling the Lincoln bathroom, his plans for a massive arch, and his name and stamp added around Washington. But Democrats are calling out this new burden on taxpayers.
This bill to rubber stamp Trump's latest vanity project is a giant slap in the face to American families.
In a social media post this morning, the president did not address the billion-dollar security funding request, but instead he defended the ballroom construction cost, which he acknowledges jumped from $200 million in the beginning to an estimated $400 million, saying that was a necessary change for a larger project. Joe?
All right, Kelly, thank you. Now to the agony at the pump and gas prices that just keep climbing. AAA says the national average for a gallon of regular has climbed to $4.53. In some states, drivers are paying more than $5 a gallon, with California topping $6. But there are a few simple ways to save a little money the next time you fill up. So here are some gas-saving tips as NBC News Chief Consumer Investigative Correspondent, News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen. Vicki, good to have you with us. So let's start with trying to find the cheapest gas, certainly not in California, but I know a lot of people swear by like a Costco or any of these wholesale clubs.
Totally.
Do you save money there?
Absolutely, Joe. If you have one of those memberships, you want to take advantage of their gas stations, whether it's Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's. Costco, for example, 700 different gas stations. You're saving anywhere from 5 to 40 cents per gallon, so it makes a lot of sense, especially if you're filling up an SUV, right? Like that's hundreds of dollars. It will offset the membership fees. It's $12.95 a month for something like a Walmart Plus, $65 a year for Costco. I will say Walmart Plus has 13,000 gas stations, including Exxon and Mobil. So if you live near one of those, program it into your route, fill up your gas there. Something else people don't know about: Amazon Prime. There's something they're doing called Fuel Up Fridays. 10 cents off a gallon on Fridays, but from now through May 29th, they're actually giving you 20 cents off per gallon. So you're already paying for these memberships. Use the gas benefits as well.
No doubt. All right, so premium gas, I don't know if I've ever used it in my entire life.
Yeah, we stay away from that. That's too far to the right.
Should I? Like, what's the deal with premium gas?
So the good news here is Kelley Blue Book says if you are concerned about fuel efficiency, getting the most bang for your buck, you don't need to worry about premium gas at all. The only time you do want to use it is if you have a high-end car and it specifically requires premium. Otherwise, save your money. There is something, though, called top tier gas. This is different. So Consumer Reports says it's called top tier. There's a little label on it. You can find it at Phillips 66, Shell, Exxon, Costco. What happens with this type of gas? It's only a few pennies more per gallon, but it has extra detergent and additives that help prevent all that gunk from building up in your engine, which then does improve the fuel efficiency for your car. So top tier gas may be worth the investment. Premium, not so much.
All right, it's like getting the better vodka when you're getting a martini. All right, let's talk about timing, because I feel like in the past we've talked about if you're buying like an airline ticket, maybe there's days or times that are better. How about with gas? Do we know if there are days or times that are cheaper?
Yeah, so Gas Buddy did this study back in February, and they said, in fact, Sunday is the cheapest day to fill up your gas, and then prices start creeping up between Wednesday to Friday. Now, the big caveat is everything that's happening in Iran, the war with Iran. Gas prices have been going up every single day. So the advice here really is just fill up sooner than later. Try to let, your gas only get down to like halfway empty before you fill it up, because prices do appear to continue going up.
All right. I know you're just filled with tips. You have so many tips you want to share with us. Is there anything else you can do to get just the most out of every single tank?
First thing that's so important is to make sure that your tire pressure is actually where it should be. And if you look on the little side part of your door, it will tell you the underinflated tires create a lot more drag. It's not efficient. Also, driving the speed limit. I know it might drive the people around you crazy, but I didn't know. For every 5 miles above 50 miles an hour that you go, it's like paying 27 cents more per gallon. So if you've got a lead foot, ease up. Same thing, glide to a stop, glide to start the car. Don't do like those fast starts, fast stops. Make sure you've cleared all the junk out of your trunk, Joe.
There you go.
The golf clubs,
literal trunk. Yes,
literal trunk, your literal trunk. And then same thing with like roof racks, things that you don't need anymore. The winter season is over. You don't have all that cargo. Take all the extra weight off. That will help you save some bucks as well.
All right, I like all of that. And then if you're driving slow and people are honking at you, you just
You're
scream
like,
back,
I'm saving money. Yeah.
There we go.
Should slow down,
I'm sure
too.
they'll be like, sure, great, okay, and they'll be super nice about it. Vicki, great tips. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right, now for the latest on that cruise ship in the Atlantic that's dealing with the deadly hantavirus outbreak. 3 passengers with symptoms have now been evacuated from the ship. At least 3 people have died as a result of the virus. There is uncertainty about where and when the rest of the passengers will be allowed to get off the ship. That's because officials in the Canary Islands have now rejected a plan to have the vessel docked there. NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal joins us with the latest. Camila, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. So now that the 3 passengers have been evacuated, they're headed to the Netherlands to be treated. And as the number of cases increase, so are concerns about its spread across the globe, all while passengers still aboard the ship remain in good spirits and hopeful of an end to this frightening outbreak.
This morning, an urgent evacuation with 3 people suspected of being infected with hantavirus finally taken off a cruise ship in the Atlantic. Now on the way to get medical care. The World Health Organization announcing there are now 8 cases of the virus stemming from the cluster on board. 3 people have died. The ship and its passengers now in limbo in the waters off Cape Verde. It was due to travel to the Canary Islands next, but this morning, the president there pushing back as global concerns grow about the spread.
Contact tracing is ongoing. Further laboratory testing continues.
Some of the passengers leaving before the outbreak came to light. Authorities in Switzerland this morning revealing an infected man who traveled there from the cruise is now being treated. Hantavirus is a rare but serious infection, generally contracted through contact with rodents. But authorities this morning confirming the ship's passengers were infected by the Andes strain, which can travel person to person and has a fatality rate of over 40%.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts.
American passenger Jake Rosemarin, who had released an urgent plea from the ship.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part.
Now saying despite the circumstances, morale on the ship remains high, and that aside from the sick passengers, everyone else on board is doing well and remains in good spirits. Immunologist Stephen Bradfute says the virus can be severe.
Most of the cases that we see are once people are in the hospital because they are very sick.
And Spanish health officials say that medical exams and the movement of the passengers will use transportation specifically designed for this situation, avoiding all contact with the local population. As for that specific strain, Joe, experts say that despite its high fatality rate, its spread among people is relatively rare because it requires close contact like sharing a bed or food. Joe.
All right, Camila, thank you so much. Former New England Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been found not guilty of assaulting his personal chef. The 32-year-old was accused of slapping and choking Jamila Adams at his Massachusetts home last December. The jury cleared him of 1 felony count of strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of assault and battery. Jurors deliberated for just 2 hours. Diggs' attorney maintains no assault ever occurred. It has now been more than 90 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing, and this morning the Pima County Sheriff, which has been leading the investigation, is pushing back against new criticism. FBI Director Kash Patel accused local investigators of waiting too long to ask for the Bureau's help. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has those details.
The first 48 hours of anyone's disappearance are the most critical.
FBI Director Kash Patel criticizing the Pima County Sheriff's Department for its handling of the unsolved disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
What we, the FBI, do is say, hey, we're here to help. What do you need? What can we do? And for 4 days, we were kept out of the investigation.
But on February 3rd, just 2 days after Nancy was reported missing, an FBI special agent appeared at a press conference in Tucson. And Patel himself told Fox News the FBI was already working with local authorities.
And you're assisting them in their efforts.
Absolutely. We're on the ground there with them.
Patel's latest comments made on Sean Hannity's podcast come more than 3 months since Nancy's abduction. In a statement, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says the FBI was promptly notified by both our department and the Guthrie family, reiterating what he told us back in February.
How do you respond to this report that says that you are not working with the FBI and holding back evidence?
The FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department are connected at the hip.
That has not changed.
The FBI director told Hannity it was the Bureau that recovered that doorbell camera footage of the masked gunman outside Nancy's home.
When we were finally let in, Sean, look what we did. We went in and got the Ring doorbell, and we said, hey, is anyone talking to Google?
You guys got that tape, which was the biggest breakthrough during that case.
We could have gotten it days before.
Patel also slammed Pima County for sending DNA evidence to a private lab in Florida instead of an FBI facility.
We would have analyzed it within days and maybe gotten better information or more information. Our lab's just better than any other private lab out there.
But Sheriff Nanos pushing back, saying that decision was made based on operational needs and that the lab it used and the FBI laboratory in Quantico have worked in close partnership from the outset and continue to collaborate in the analysis of evidence.
Our thanks to Liz Kreutz for that report. And Sheriff Nanos continues to insist his department has a strong relationship with the FBI. He tells NBC News that investigators on the ground divvied up responsibilities, with his team handling the biological evidence and the FBI handling the digital evidence. Millions are at risk across the South for some severe storms. We've got the details now with your Morning News Now weather. Andrea Romero joins us with the forecast. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. And we are tracking some severe weather this morning. In fact, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of southeastern Tennessee at this moment. We can see all those lightning strikes indicated by radar, and just basically showing how intense that storm cell is right now moving across that area. And this is all part of this expansive frontal system which will be continuing to move eastward and will be bringing rain all the way up into the northeast and parts of New England, and bringing this severe weather threat for East Texas all the way into parts of Georgia. In particular, if we look at this enhanced risk, it's basically concentrated here in parts of Louisiana, into Mississippi, into Alabama. This is where basically all hazards are at play for this afternoon and for this evening. We're talking about damaging hail, wind gusts, and of course the threat of strong tornadoes that could develop across this area. So if you're in that location, you definitely want to have a way to receive those weather alerts. And aside from the lightning and the wind, we're also talking about some heavy rainfall, and that's why we have this flash flood risk for all that location. And we're looking at hourly rates of up to 1 to 2 inches per hour across the region. And in total, between today and tomorrow, because tomorrow we're still expecting that rain to be along the southeast and the Gulf states, we're looking at accumulations of up to 3 inches that can fall with all those thunderstorms and those heavy cells that will be moving through the area. And of course, out over in the south central Rockies, it's not rain but snow that's impacting that location. We can see that those winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories that will continue throughout the day. Fortunately, that snowfall will be tapering off, but we're looking at close to 4 inches that has fallen in Denver, and of course higher amounts in those mountainous areas, those higher elevations. We've seen already over 1.5 feet of snowfall, and we're expecting still additional inches to fall throughout the day. The cold weather is moving in through that location. 18 million people this morning waking up to a morning chill with frost and freeze alerts. Temperatures in the 30s in parts of Denver, and these are all temperatures that we're expecting to maintain or to continue to be below average today, and that will be moving over into the eastern part of the country tomorrow. So we're going to have this cool down before things do warm up for the weekend, and we have a little Mother's Day preview. We're looking at temperatures that will be warmer for Sunday, nice for mom in the northeast, but we do continue to have that threat of showers and storms that will be impacting the southeast part of the country into parts of the Midwest. But out west, lots of sunshine and temperatures that will be in the 80s and in the 70s. So that's how it's looking for mom for Sunday.
It looks like many moms will be happy with the weather on Sunday.
Yes,
so that's good. We'll take it. All right, Andrea, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, deportation disagreement. We are getting an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the tensions over President Trump's immigration agenda within his own administration. What our senior Homeland Security correspondent has learned, detailed in her new book. Up first, concerning trend. Authorities say criminals are calling in fake emergencies at popular zoos from coast to coast. The danger of these made-up crimes. Next. We are back with a concerning trend impacting zoos nationwide, swatting. Authorities say they've seen a rash of zoo swatting in recent weeks. That's when criminals call in fake emergency situations at popular zoos. It's been happening from California to Florida, forcing massive police responses for made-up crimes. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us now with more on this. Steph, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. You know, some view swatting as just a prank, but that is not how the FBI sees it, when these fake threats lead to huge law enforcement responses. And now there is a new target in this wave of incidents at zoos and aquariums nationwide.
This morning, federal agents are on high alert after a series of swatting incidents targeting popular zoos across the country.
They said they were bringing guns and pipe bombs, and also alluded that there was already some pipe bombs planted inside the zoo.
The callers' threats, usually including the use of guns and explosives, are designed to trigger a large law enforcement response with tactical teams and bomb squads, when there actually is no threat at all. The Columbus Zoo and Aquarium in Ohio, which has more than 2 million visitors every year, was swatted Saturday.
We received a bomb threat from our call center, and we took that very seriously. Our security teams quickly evacuated the zoo.
The zoo was shut down for the day.
We found no traces of any bombs of any kind.
And then that same zoo was swatted again Tuesday. The latest threat was also cleared.
Swatting's been going on for years, but why zoos now?
Maybe they have an angst with zoos, or a grievance with zoos, or they're choking on an empty grudge with zoos.
In a statement, the FBI's Cleveland office writing they're aware of recent threats made involving a number of zoos and other entities, and that they are working with law enforcement partners to determine their credibility. But it's not just Ohio. Zoos in Kentucky, Florida, and Arizona have also been hit, part of a swatting trend that has been growing for years, targeting celebrities, politicians, hospitals, and even schools.
I'm a school teacher. We get them all the time at school, and we're prepared, and we're just going to live our life like we always do, without fear.
In 2023, the FBI created a national database to help law enforcement agencies track swatting threats, because they say it is a serious crime that doesn't just waste resources, it puts people in danger.
It's very disruptive to our society in general. It causes a lot of intimidation and fear, and let's hope they can catch the people responsible.
So, Joe, the local police are working with the FBI, according to the zoo, to try to find out who's behind this. And that's the thing. That's really the only way to stop it, is to find the people who are behind it and then actually prosecute them and send a message, a kind of deterrent, so people don't do it. Because it is actually a very easy crime to commit. And law enforcement is going to respond the same way every time, because there are actual real threats of shooters and bombs in our society, and they have to respond that way every time.
We have to be nice to the animals. There's that, but also remember those limited police resources should be directed toward actual emergencies as well. All right, Steph, good to have you with us. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
We do have developing news this morning. Ukrainian officials say that Russia launched a drone attack on Ukraine, defying a unilateral ceasefire that was announced by Kyiv. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Labanga joins us now to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Well, that's right. Authorities in Ukraine say that Russia fired dozens of drones across Ukraine overnight in complete disregard of a unilateral ceasefire announced by Kyiv, which came into effect at midnight. Now, the attacks came after Ukraine says at least 27 people were killed in separate strikes on Tuesday. Earlier this week, Russia proposed different dates for the ceasefire, for May 8th and 9th instead, to coincide with commemoration of its victory in World War II, threatening a massive missile strike on central Kyiv if Ukraine violated the truce. Ukraine's President Zelensky called Wednesday's attack a cynical terrorist strike. Let's go now to India, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling Hindu Nationalist Party won in the opposition stronghold of West Bengal in a key state election. West Bengal has been governed by one of Modi's most prominent political rivals and critic since 2011. Addressing supporters in New Delhi, Modi said the result proved the increasing appeal of his party in a state where it has historically struggled, and promised that a new chapter has been added to Bengal's destiny. And let's end this tour of the world at the Gates of Hell. That's the nickname given to the Darwaza craters, roaring pits of fires in Turkmenistan that have puzzled scientists and daredevil tourists for decades. But now experts say the flames appear to be slowly going out. According to Capteiro, a company that monitors natural gas flares, the intensity of the heat in the Gates of Hell have diminished by more than 75% over the last 3 years. Now, Joe, a story about Gates of Hell closing sounds like an episode of Stranger Things, but also it's the proof that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Joe.
Good point, Claudio. Looks like Hell finally got a fire department, so there you go. All right, Claudio, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Yeah. A 34-year-old Florida woman has been taken into custody for allegedly kicking a youth football player during an on-field scuffle. The melee was all caught on camera. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has the details.
This is the moment a Florida youth football game devolves into chaos. Watch closely. In the middle of an altercation, this child rolls on the turf, still on the ground, as a parent appears to approach, kicking the player. Police say that woman is Renee Lambert, now charged with cruelty toward a child and resisting an officer.
So it was getting chippy for a bit. It was a chippy game.
Yes, sir.
Curtis Jones says he was filming the physical game between 13 and 14-year-olds when that scuffle broke out Saturday in Fort Myers.
What made things finally boil over?
I think two players just got one at it, and players going to defend their own teammates.
According to a police report, it wasn't just players rushing in. A witness saying Lambert entered the scrum and became physical with some players.
You're detained right now.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Goodbye.
You are. Stop.
Then, as police tried detaining Lambert, investigators say she became confrontational.
Me, I'm the one who got hit.
You are being pointed out as being a suspect right now. You are detained. You are detained.
So where's number 9? Go get number 9.
A kid?
Yes.
You're an adult.
The moments captured on this body camera video released by police.
She's detained because they said you hit a kid.
And the kid hit me.
Investigators spoke with the victim, who said while he was on the ground, he was kicked by Lambert in the leg, according to the police report, which adds a sheriff's deputy took photos of the victim's legs, but did not observe any injuries. Our NBC Fort Myers affiliate obtaining this video showing Lambert acting aggressively at another game days earlier. NBC News has attempted to reach Lambert, but has not heard back.
That was Jesse Kirsch reporting. The Fort Myers Falcons Youth Football Organization says Lambert has been permanently banned from all team events. The organization says adults are expected to lead by example. Coming up, cracks in the immigration crackdown. NBC's Julia Ainsley joining us live with details from her new book on the inside story of President Trump's immigration efforts, including the disagreements over his deportation goals. That's next. We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with another senior member of the Trump administration meeting with Pope Leo. NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us with that and some other Washington headlines. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, let's start with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who heads to Italy today, where he'll focus on the U.S. relationship with Italy and the Vatican. Yesterday, he said that he expects a frank meeting with Pope Leo. Now, the meeting comes after President Trump has repeatedly criticized the Pope for his opposition to the war in Iran. Rubio, who is Catholic, has met Pope Leo previously after going to the Pope's inaugural Mass last year. Next, let's go to Fulton County, Georgia, where the Justice Department is seeking the names and personal information about election workers who worked during the 2020 presidential election. The Department of Justice is seeking election workers and volunteers' names, addresses, and contact information through a grand jury subpoena. Now, the subpoena had been filed in April, but it was only made public Monday when the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections urged a judge to quash the subpoena. In a statement, Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts called the subpoena, quote, yet another act of outrageous federal overreach designed to intimidate and to chill participation in elections. Finally, let's head south to Florida, where Eric Trump posted a new logo for Palm Beach Airport. The Florida legislature had previously voted to name the airport after President Trump, and in March, Governor Ron DeSantis signed the bill into law, to rename the airport as President Donald J. Trump International Airport. Now, Trump often flies in and out of that airport because Mar-a-Lago is just a few miles away. That official name change is expected to take effect at the start of July. Not to look at what's making news and politics this morning. Joe?
All right, Megan, thank you so much. We are getting an exclusive look behind the scenes at the tensions over President Trump's immigration agenda. The president promised to deport 1 million immigrants in his first year back in office. It was part of what the White House called, quote, the largest deportation force in U.S. history. But some top leaders disagreed on how to reach that goal. Two Department of Homeland Security officials said one meeting got so heated they all had to clear the room. It involved leaders of ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and the Department of Defense. It's just one of the stories in a new book out now called Undue Process, the inside story of Trump's mass deportation program. And it was written by our very own NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent, Julia Ainsley. Julia joins us now. Congratulations on the book. We are so proud of you. First of all, just talk to us about why you decided, you've done so much reporting for us, but why you decided to write a book.
Yeah, well, Joe, you know, a lot of reporters, we cover the headlines every day, and we always feel like there's something that doesn't make it into our story. And I realized I've been covering immigration since 2014, and something very different was happening in 2025. The pace of change on immigration policy and the ways they were expanding who could be deported, the surveillance, including of legal immigrants like foreign students, social media, and the way they were defying the courts was unlike anything I'd seen. So I started to document that, and what I found was not only an incredible change that was happening and an expansion of power, but also people inside DHS, people who were even vocally loyal to President Trump, who wanted to talk to me about what was going on behind the scenes and some really major ideological differences and fights at many points that they were having.
Well, let's talk about one of those fights. I mentioned the heated discussion earlier. So what happened inside that room?
Well, this was February 2025, and Trump's first pick to head ICE, Caleb Vitello, was sitting across from Border Patrol. And there was a plan that had been blessed by Kristi Noem called the Master Plan for Deportations. And Caleb Vitello had a major problem with it. They wanted to put DOD, CBP, Customs and Border Protection, and ICE in one hub in Washington and tell all immigration agents from there where to go to arrest people across the country with final orders of deportation, which meant going to last known addresses without a warrant and going in. Caleb Vitello says, we're going to end up going into the private property of American citizens. This is a major problem. They got so angry with each other, they had to clear the room. Caleb Vitello was reassigned and lost that job just days later. And of course, pieces of that plan did come true later. We saw ICE officers and Border Patrol officers enter homes without warrants starting in LA last summer.
It's an issue you've been covering up until just the last few weeks as well. You've spoke with so many people. I know that includes a former ICE employee who claims she was fired in retaliation for not complying with ICE orders. You spoke with a law professor who later lost his job after comments to the media. Without giving too much away, tell us some of these stories that you've uncovered.
Yeah, I would love for people to get into some of the nuance in the book here, but basically this was the person who didn't comply at ICE. She was a career spokesperson. She'd worked in the military. She ended up being walked out with everything in her box, with all of her belongings in a box, with armed guards by her. And she believes it's because she refused to call immigrants scumbags in a press release, that these were alleged gang members. And she raised the question, what if we're wrong? And she says her termination paper said she failed to authorize a press release. The law professor told journalists in a training room, we got to go in where they were training new ICE officers, that officers needed reasonable suspicion before breaking a car window. We were seeing a lot of this at the time in Chicago, and he was reassigned from that job just that afternoon. There was a real coalescing around the fact that loyalty mattered the most, and anyone who was really veering from the message or saying maybe what we're doing isn't legally sound, they paid the consequence for that.
What do you hope people gain from reading this book?
Well, just like my reporting here at NBC News, I hope people always learn something. It's a really complicated topic. It's why I choose to cover immigration. I want to take the heat out of it with more information. I hope people understand the way this works. I really go way back in the book as well, telling people how we got here. There are people from the Obama and Biden administrations who talk to me about what they think they got wrong in some cases, how it got to a point where it was so weaponized in 2025. But really, no matter how you feel about immigration, even if it's not a top topic that you follow, I hope people realize that Trump used this issue to expand executive power in a new way. And that's how what started as his biggest political asset ended up becoming his biggest political liability. facility. They've cooled down some of those operations that we saw, like in Minneapolis. But people I'm speaking to now say that if Republicans do well in the midterms, all the pieces of the machinery are there and they can turn this back on.
And that begs the question now. You say things have cooled down. We're not even a year and a half into this administration. Do we know what some of the immigration operation plans are moving forward?
Well, we know that Secretary Markwayne Mullin has put a pause on some things. Now, they do need to have a warrant before they enter a home. And he's paused the construction of new warehouses and purchasing of new warehouses to hold immigrants as mega detention centers that Kristi Noem had planned. But you can still arrest immigrants at an ICE check-in, people who are following those rules. They are still holding immigrants without bond, even for indefinite periods of time in ICE detention. And the courts have allowed ICE officers and Border Patrol, if they get involved again, to arrest people based on their characteristics. That could mean the language they're speaking or where they're working, rather than an underlying crime or any kind of intelligence that they have that this person has violated immigration law. And so what I'm understanding is that there are ways that this can be ramped back up in a very big way. And one key way they're going to do this is with increased surveillance, because now that ICE got a $75 billion cash infusion last summer, they have ramped up the way they can find people, often starting with their social media and targeting them specifically, even in ways that might not make headlines, but they're still arresting like 1,600, 1,700 a day. Compare that to the 300 they were arresting in the very beginning of this book.
You know, the book is done, but your reporting is certainly not done.
And I brought you a copy.
Yes,
that's yours.
Thank you so much. I will treasure this. Thank you so much, Julia Ainsley. Congratulations. Again, her new book, Undue Process, the inside story of Trump's mass deportation program, is out now. Coming up, window into the past. The Presidential Library for President Barack Obama is gearing up to open to the public this summer. After the break, we are getting an exclusive look at the project that has been in the works now for a decade. How the former president hopes the center can inspire future generations. Next. We're back with some money headlines, starting with a big win for the vaping industry after a new authorization from the FDA. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Good morning. That's right. The FDA says it's approved the promotion of 4 different flavored nicotine pods, including 2 fruit flavors made by the company Glass. While there has been controversy over the harms of new vaping flavors, potentially encouraging more teens and younger users to participate in the activity, officials say the products use technology that includes age verification and is anticipated to limit minors' access. And just days after budget airline Spirit Airlines shut down, another low-cost carrier is flying on in. During the company's earnings call yesterday, the Frontier Airlines CEO saying the airline will add service to cover areas where Spirit now won't be flying this summer. The company also says it anticipates an increase in revenue as a result, even as high jet fuel prices continue to put pressure on the industry as a whole. Finally, AMC Theaters is teaming up with live entertainment company Arena One for a new kind of experience. The company is saying in June they're going to unveil Arena One at AMC, which basically will allow people from all over the country to witness live concerts without the travel. It will be available at more than 300 theaters, and performers already announced include Maren Morris and Paris Hilton. Now, Joe, I've seen Maren Morris recently, but Paris Hilton, that's a throwback for me.
There you go. She does produce music, so I just think if the concert tickets are too expensive, here's a nice alternative.
Exactly, with all the Taylor Swift uproar of everyone trying to get in, going abroad to get tickets to that. I think this will give everyone an equal opportunity.
Very cool. Emily, thanks so much. We are getting a first-hand look inside former President Barack Obama's new presidential center, which is set to open in June. It's a project that has been in the works for a decade. Today, co-host Jenna Bush Hager sat down with the former president to talk about the new center and what it means to him.
At this defining moment, change has come to America. The single most powerful word in our democracy is the word we. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
A presidential library is meant to serve as a window to the past. But for former President Barack Obama, that was never the whole plan.
I know that it's, of course, a place for history, but more than that, I've read that you want it to be a place for community.
Well, that's how we've conceived it. This campus is going to be 19 acres, and there will be a museum there that records the presidency and has some of Michelle's dresses, which will be no doubt the most popular exhibit there. But that's really just one part of it.
Rather than simply paying tribute to his historic 2 terms, President Obama envisions the center will also shape our collective future.
The goal for me has been to create something that's a living monument, not to me, but to this idea of American citizenship. And if we can encourage that, then I'll feel pretty good, and I think people will really enjoy being there. We've got a campus that's designed to model a space where communities come together to meet, to learn, to work with each other around projects that they care about.
President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama chose to build the center on Chicago's South Side, where they both began their lives in public service. That dedication to giving back, as strong as ever on the brand new campus.
We've got a Chicago Public Library on site that's an actual library, not just some academic library. We've got community spaces for people to meet, recording studios for young people to come and talk about their lives and create art and music that can be inspiring.
The Obama's greatest hope was to create a place to educate the next generation and inspire a sense of belonging.
We've got that playground for kids to play in.
Hey! That was fantastic.
And a community garden following up on what Michelle did. And a basketball court and a gym, because I think sports are central to who we are. And an auditorium where public speakers will come in. And young people who are bringing about change in their communities can come together and convene and learn and practice civic leadership.
A lover of architecture, President Obama was deeply involved in the design process. And dozens of artists have contributed to every corner of the property.
We also have a whole bunch of amazing public art that is rare to see outside of some of the fancy museums downtown.
But perhaps the most personal feature is what's tucked away for children, a water terrace named in his mother's honor.
It's a fountain that's designed where kids can run in and out of the fountain and play in it and splash in it. And she loved kids.
Ann Dunham was a scholar with big dreams. Even as a young mom, she never gave up on herself, working for decades to complete a doctorate and champion global causes. Her determination and heart not lost on the little boy she helped raise.
When you sit there, what do you reflect on?
You know, my mom didn't live to see me as president, but she was reflected in everything I did as president, because she was a kind person, somebody who believed in doing things for other folks and not just thinking for yourself. A lot of those values of respecting people, regardless of their backgrounds, and listening to them and learning from them, I learned from her.
A legacy of steadfast hope and humanity.
They did a good job. Looks like it's supposed to.
Carried on through her son.
Well, I'm looking forward at some point to being able to sit there, maybe not right during the opening because it'll be really packed, but maybe 20 years from now where people won't know, and I can kind of sneak over there and just sit there and watch some kids running through some water on a nice summer day, and I know that would make her happy.
Our thanks to Jenna Bush Hager for bringing us that preview of the Obama Presidential Center. The tickets for opening day on June 19th through the end of November are going to be available today. Tickets range in price from $15 to $30. Illinois residents are able to visit for free on Tuesdays by selecting a time slot and then providing their zip code during checkout. Coming up, doing the right thing while cleaning up after a powerful storm in Indiana. 2 firefighters went the extra mile, not knowing that anyone was watching. Their powerful display of respect next. Finally this hour, we bring you the story of 2 firefighters in Indiana who came across an American flag that had been blown into the street by a powerful storm. What they did next shows the power of doing the right thing even when you think no one is watching. Here's NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Yamas.
Symbol. A beacon of freedom, hope, and so much of what this country stands for. So when South Bend, Indiana firefighters Cody McLeod and Brian Haskell saw an American flag on the ground after powerful winds broke a neighborhood flagpole, they jumped into action. That's them there. This Ring camera showing them walk up to the front porch of a home, flag in hand, folded with care. Then placing it gently next to the stairs.
We just have a lot of patriotism, and that flag means a lot.
Once we could figure out where it belongs, I mean, why not, just put it back.
Homeowner Tyler Gillian saw the moment on his doorbell cam.
As you see in the video, how they cared for it, set it here so delicately. Just amazing. It's just the type of people that we have serving the Southland Fire Department.
For McLeod and Haskell, who both come from military families, the flag represents the best of America.
It's our country. It's the United States. It's all of us coming together and being united.
With all the stuff going on in the world right now, it doesn't hurt to help a neighbor.
A powerful show of respect for an emblem of unity.
Doing that small act of kindness or doing something good for somebody, whether anybody's watching or not, if everybody did that, the world would be a much better place.
Our thanks to Tom Yamas and WNDU, that's our affiliate in South Bend, for that story. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.